What's up, y'all? Back again. Another episode of Fight Court. I'm Dean Thomas. I got you covered. I'm riding solo today. My normal co-host, Ryan Quinn, he's off on assignment. Don't worry. I got you covered. A lot has happened. News was announced today, but before that, let's talk about the weekend. Charles Oliveira reigning supreme down in Rio de Janeiro. Charlie Olives has done it again. Just when you think somebody is out, they prove you wrong. And I personally, despite how it may look, I love to be proven wrong in this game because that means that they excelled and they achieved what it was that they were trying to do. And if you've been around for as long as I have, you watch a lot of people fail in this game. So when you see someone do what it is that they're set out to do, regardless of what the obstacle is and what it looks like, you got to be happy for them. And I'm happy for Charles Oliveira. Got a little shaky at first because when Fiziev pulled out, and no one accepted the fight. Charles was real vocal about that. He had criticized all them guys who said they would step up. And then they turned down the fight when it became a reality. Now insert Mateus Gamrot. He stepped up. And when Charles first got Gamrot, the rumors were he declined. And I had a lot to say about that. We all had a lot to say about that. But then he took the fight. Good on him. And even though we thought it was a risky fight, he was just coming off that knockout loss to Ilia Topuria. We all said it was too soon. Even despite that, I thought it was still a risky fight because I thought that Mateus Gamrot would be a good enough grappler to neutralize him. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I thought Mateus Gamrot would be a little more on the ground for Charles. I thought he'd have a little something for him. We watched Gamrot scrap with the best of them on the mat, but he was completely outclassed by Charles. Credit to Charles for keeping his pure jiu-jitsu alive. He gets the dub, calls out Max Holloway, and it's the perfect call out. It's the perfect way to maintain your star power. You fight a guy who, even though may not have the star power that you have, you fight them anyway. You put them away, and then you make the perfect call out. Now, regardless of what the rankings say, he just increased his star power, his likability, and now we want to see him fight for that BMF title against Max even more. Charles reminded us. He reminded us all of a very valuable lesson. Go for it. Moving right along, Dana White just announced some bangers for UFC 323, which so happens to be the final pay-per-view in the UFC ESPN era. Shed a tear. Moment of silence for the ESPN era. Okay, good. Now, Dana said Merab Dvalishvili showed up to the office on Monday and told them he wanted to turn around and break the record for title defenses. Now, mind you, on Sunday, the day before, Merab was at Aljamain Sterling's wedding. And the day before that, yes, he defended his title against the most dangerous challenger, arguably the most dangerous challenger in the division, in Corey Sandhagen, beating him in a pretty much a shutout for 5 rounds. But like Charles Oliveira, Merab is setting the standard for how fighters should conduct their careers. It's not about being a company man for the company. You're doing this for yourself. You're doing this to prove that you are the best in the world. You're doing this for your own status and your own star power. The UFC is just a platform in which you're doing it on. Young fighters dream of having opportunities like this. They dream of being able to show the world that they're the best fighter in the world. Then something happens when they get to the UFC. Fans start calling them company men for accepting fights. But that's what you're here for. This is your job. And sometimes we get fighters like Merab and Charles Oliveira who remind us of just that. You fight. Now, Merab will be taking on Petr Yan in a rematch. The first fight was pretty one-sided in Merab's favor. You have to expect this one to be a little closer. Obviously, Yan, he is no joke, and he's had plenty of time to gather his bearings and develop something different than what he didn't do in the first fight. Now, we look forward to that fight. They also announced some other bangers. Dana also announced that Pantoja will be defending his belt against Joshua Van. And this, we all knew would happen when Joshua Van was able to put himself in position after that win versus Brandon Royval that had us all at the edge of our seats. What a great fight that was. I remember that like it was yesterday. And it'll be interesting to see if Joshua Van can solve the puzzle. He certainly has great punching power, incredible accuracy, and instincts for punching people right on the button. But will that be enough to stop the assault of Pantoja? Pantoja is definitely a double threat. He shines on the floor, no question about that, but he will march across the cage like a madman and bury you in punches while you're expecting a takedown. This arsenal makes him difficult to read. Now, Joshua Van and his team, they have their work cut out to solve that puzzle. Dana also announced a few other fights. Jan Blachowicz taking on Bogdan Guskov, and Henry Cejudo returns to fight Peyton Talbot. This should be good. Can't wait for UFC 323 and all the other stuff that the UFC has coming up. But if you enjoyed the show today, make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe. On that note, this court is adjourned.